Welcome back to Watanagashi. Let's see if we can survive chapter 11, shall we? So where we last left off, there is some wild guesses about the two characters, Rika and Satoko, going missing, and I don't know. I get a really bad feeling. So let's continue reading. Let's think about this. In my own way, Reina had barely any information to go on, and yet she'd reason out that much. So there should be something that only I, who knew far more than Reina did, could deduce. Oishi-san said this last night too, but this incident was definitely occurring within Hanabizawa. Oh shoot. Reina might not have wanted to believe it, but it's basically a given that the culprit is someone from the village. The trigger for everything was when the four of us trespassed in the forbidden storehouse. Somebody saw us going in there. For the culprits, breaking the taboo was a crime punishable by death. So that night, Toмотaki-san and Takano-san were sacrificed. There were two left, Shion and myself. However, before the culprits bored their fangs on Shion and me, they went after the mayor, to whom Shion had confessed her sin. Where is Shion, by the way? I haven't seen her in a while. Oh, I hope she gets some more. I hope she appears. Confessed her sin. Next, they went for Rika-chan, to whom I confessed my sin. Then what about Satoko? Just a stray bullet? By itself, Rika-chan being sacrificed after I told her everything was mortifying. But Satoko, who was sacrificed for no reason, wasn't that all the more regrettable? Everything was my fault. Who would be the next to disappear? Would it be Shion and me next time? Why weren't the culprits going for Shion and me right away though? If they had enough power to erase the mayor and Rika-chan, then why not just get rid of Shion and me? If they went for us, well, I wouldn't like it, but I could still tolerate it. What I couldn't forgive was them getting rid of those we confessed to. Now that I think of it, yesterday Shion said something alarming. She felt like someone was watching her. So then, was someone watching me as well? Strangely though, I hadn't felt anything like that until now. Even though I'm the root cause of everything, I had never once had that impression. Maybe that was simply because Shion was more cautious than me, and I was just careless. That's another story though. Let's get back on track. Why weren't the culprits going after Shion and me? I felt like that's where the key to this lay. Could it be? Was I making a big assumption that I shouldn't have been? Good question. I have no idea why. I thought and thought, but couldn't come up with an answer. The one thing I understood was that I was a concerned party to this case, and that I had a duty to watch over it until everything got resolved. Ah! The bell rung. I heard the ring at the bell declaring the end of lunch break. Will somebody else disappear tonight? If nobody else did, then I wanted them to get rid of me tonight for sure. Yeah, right. And then put an end to all of this mess. All of this bullshit. Shion's hysterical voice on the phone last night came back to mind. They planned to murder those close to us first, make us as miserable as possible, and only then would they kill us. My Barakun, lunch break is over. Go back to the classroom. At the principal's urging, I returned to the classroom, which was quiet as the streets at night. Is class is over now? There were a lot of parents picking up their children after school. Okay, really? My internet just, I don't know, fucking Steam went out for a moment there. Anyway, there were a lot of parents picking up their children after school. It was just like a kindergarten. Great. The students whose parents didn't come went home as a group. We left school with everyone else following the assigned route. Even while leaving, nobody said anything funny. They all looked like exhausted mountaineers silently marching through the mountains. As we went, one left and then another. And in the end, it was just Reina and me. I was supposed to escort Reina all the way to her house, but she declined. Will you be alright? It's not safe to go alone. It would be just as dangerous for you to go home by yourself after bringing me back, Keiichi-kun. It's still light out anyway. I'll be fine. I see. Then be careful, okay? Yeah. Huh? Isn't that a policeman? Reina pointed towards my house. Pointed towards my house. What else? There was a car stopped in front of it. From what out of the car came Oishi-san. Oh boy. He must have been waiting for my return to ambush me. Oishi-san started walking over wearing that annoying grin. Reina, you should go. If you get involved with him, you'll be here for hours. But what did the police want with you? With you, I wonder. Reina's a good person. Even when I made a fuss over Rika-chan's disappearance, she never asked me why I did. She could have been suspecting me ever since then, and that would have been okay. Even so, she still hadn't asked me anything. She didn't try and pressure me into revealing the truth. I'm not the culprit. I know that. That said, I can't say that I'm totally uninvolved with this incident. Reina simply listened, smiling like she always did. Even though I had insinuated I was related to the incident, she didn't look at me as though she were looking at something dirty. I'll tell you next time. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Get going then. Reina gave me a slight bow and trotted away, leaving me alone with Oishi-san, who walked over. Hello, hello. Welcome home, my Baro-san. Oh, the hell do you want? Hello. Looks like your parents aren't here. My, was I in a bit of a spot. He came all the way to my house? I could only thank my good fortune that my parents were absent. Since neither of them was around at this hour, they would probably be back late. I think Dad got called out on business. I don't think he'll be back until later. I see. Well, that's convenient, I suppose. We can do this without giving your parents any strange ideas. Oishi-san pushed my back, prompting me to rock. It seemed like he wanted me to get in the car. Are you taking me to the police station? I wasn't the culprit, but I was the cause of everything. It wouldn't be weird if he wanted to investigate me. That kind of gave me a resigned feeling. No, I just don't want to stand around talking. We can't just talk in the car, that's all. Come now, don't be shy. He opened the back door and urged me inside. If I got in, I wouldn't have a very easy time getting out. If I said no, however, then this man might really handcuff me and take me away. I couldn't refuse. I could only accept in good grace. Oh man. The inside of the car had been cooled too much by the air conditioner, and there was a rusty smell coming from the filter, which must have been cleaned only rarely. Ugh. Oh, is it too cold? I'll turn the car off. He turned off the engine and it suddenly became quiet, and the voices of the Higurashi with all their cool loneliness snuck inside. Quack, 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 quack. I can't even... It sounded to me like a chorus of voices lamenting my exorbitant punishment for having harbored such foolish curiosity. For a few moments while listening to those voices, I myself lamented the days that had been twisted and distorted since that night. Oishi-san, as if waiting for me to voluntarily begin talking, lit a cigarette and listened to the Higurashi. The silence became deafening, and I was the one who folded first. How is the investigation going? The investigation? Of what? There have been so many. Which do you mean? All of them. Well, alright then. They're officially secret investigations and we're under a media blackout, but I'll let you in on them. And, oh man, my head is freaking itchy right now. But I'll let you in on them, okay. Then shall we start from the first incident? The freak deaths of Tomitaki-san and Takano-san on the night of Watanagashi. On this one, embarrassingly enough, we haven't made any progress at all. First of all, Tomotaki-san, there are indications on his body that he was assaulted by a group of people, but we have no explanation for him clawing out his own throat and dying. We suspect an overdose from a stimulant or something, but we didn't detect anything. What about Takano-san? The same. We're in the dark. Autopsies for those who are burned to death are real tough. We believe she was doused in gasoline after she was strangled. That one falls under the Gifu Prefecture's police department. They haven't been very cooperative even though it happened in our territory. Oh, that's not really relevant though. So the police didn't know anything other than the fact that the victims died inexplicably. Nonetheless, the times when the incidents occurred have been generally placed right after the festival ended. It's a bit uncertain in Takano-san's case, but the likely prospect is that she was murdered about the same time as Tomotaki-san, then dumped in the mountains in Gifu. Why would they bring a dead body all the way to the mountains? They should have just brought Tomotaki-san out there too. Oh my Barbara-san, you're quite sharp, you know that? Of course, I do believe that is something we need to be attentive of. There are a bunch of other suspicious things, but this is about all I can tell you at this point. How about the mayor? Have there been any clues? Having exhausted that topic, I changed the subject, otherwise he might turn the conversation on me. We investigated his movements on the day he disappeared. We didn't find anything that could provide any clues, but I'll tell you about it anyway. The mayor, Ch.2 Watanagashi, apparently he was suffering from severe hemorrhoids. People who lived a long time have an unusual amount of pride, so the mayor hadn't been telling anyone that he was going to a proctologist at a certain university hospital in Chichibone. On the day he disappeared, he had an appointment for a checkup, so he went out first thing in the morning. Even I knew that big hospitals like university hospitals had a really long waiting time. Apparently people would get in line hours beforehand, even if they had an appointment. His exam ended at 1 p.m. After that, he ate a light meal in the hospital restaurant and passed the time reading a magazine. We know this because of a receipt we found in his wallet at his house. There was nothing suspicious at all about that. That day, he had planned to go to a meeting in the assembly hall in the evening. He was supposed to return home with plenty of time to spare, but while he was on the train coming back, there was an accident. Seems it delayed him a bit, and he only got back to his house right before the meeting was scheduled to start. His family witnessed a very hectic mayor leaving to go to the assembly hall at the shrine. What was the meeting about? He disappeared on his way back home, right? The three families and the essential members of the town assembly were at the meeting. We think they were discussing how to deal with the serial freak death incidents that had happened again this year. So then, on his way home, the old man who had treated Shion like his own daughter. He was a dependable person who would encourage Shion whenever she felt pressured by anxiety, and yet, Shion's painful voice struck me right in the heart. Huh? Huh? What's the matter? I was taken aback by how strange my own voice sounded. What was it that just surprised me? Kinda wonder. I squeezed my head with my hands to try and drag back out what I had only realized for a split second. Remember, Keiji Maibara, you just realized something. Something important. The night of Watanagashi. That was when everything started. That night, Takano-san and Tomotaki-san died. The next morning, word of the incident had spread throughout Honamizawa. They planned to talk about it during the evening meeting. The mayor, however, had an appointment at the hospital, and as planned, he went there without telling his family. He got a checkup at the hospital. Ate something. And then there was an unexpected delay on his train ride back. When he returned, the meeting was already about to start. The mayor changed clothes, got on his bicycle, and hurried to the assembly hall at the shrine as fast as he could. From when he heard about the incident on the night of Watanagashi until when he showed up at the assembly hall, everything he was doing that day was done in secret. During that time, nobody found out that he went to the hospital alone. He ate alone. And he got on the train alone. That all meant he had absolutely no contact with anyone else. You couldn't have even called him on the phone. Okay, but what does that mean, Keiichi Maibara? Why does that matter? Why does that matter, Keiichi Maibara? Kei-chan, what should I do? What's wrong? Tell me. We're not keeping secrets from each other, right? Old man Kimiyoshi, I told him everything. I told him everything. I told old man Kimiyoshi everything. That night, I told the mayor that we snuck into the ritual storehouse. Also that someone saw us and was out to get us. Right. What then? Old man Kimiyoshi didn't get angry. He smiled and told me that if I was properly sorry about it, there was no way I'd be demoned away. He was really smiling and he told me to leave it to him. Ugh. Sweat burst out of my body like bullets. They became one long strand and slid down from my forehead to my nose and fell. So then, what does it mean? Hey, Keiichi Maibara, no more playing dumb. When did she tell him? Oh my goodness. That really threw me off right there. Shion says she learned of the incident from a phone call her father had made that morning. The mayor had left the house first thing in the morning for his appointment at the hospital. He didn't tell anybody where he was going. Nobody knew about him going to the university hospital. Furthermore, his train ride back to his house was delayed by an accident. As soon as he got home, he rushed out to the assembly hall, goddammit. Then the meeting at the assembly hall began and continued until it was dark out. Then everyone left. Nobody saw him after the meeting was over. He just disappeared. Which meant, Maibara-san? Are you alright? If you're too hot, I can turn on the air conditioner, Another part of me was messing with my thoughts, demanding that I not think any further than that. My head was pounding violently, and the fluids packed inside it all blended together until nothing made sense. It was just about to settle, yet it had been smashed and melted in the blink of an eye, no longer able to retain its shape. Maibara-san, are you in there? Yeah. Oishi-san lit yet another cigarette. There was yet another cigarette butt placed in the ashtray. Was it displaying the passage of time? Had my thoughts been frozen over for that long? I've tried to tell you everything I know. In return, feel free to tell me anything you want, Maibara-san. My mind had become a gigantic, oozing mess. My brain felt like it had been totally minced by the blades of a blender, and I couldn't think. Now, don't clam up again. If there are any misunderstandings, I'd like to clear them up first. I don't think you're the culprit here or anything. Oishi-san gave his best attempt at an adult smile. I know the four of you snuck into the ritual storehouse that night. Everyone in the village heard rumors about it by the next day. That in itself means we should take you in for trespassing, but that isn't the problem. It's what was inside. What was inside that made the people who snuck in there end up as sacrifices? There wasn't anything. As soon as I said it, I regretted confirming my presence there, but I knew it didn't matter anymore. Was there really nothing in there? I mean, everyone who went in is being sacrificed one by one, you know? Even the mayor and Rika-san, who switched the lock on the door, were sacrificed. What was inside that could have caused such terrible things to happen? Oh man, just by the time I was inside that ritual storehouse, it's creeping me out. I was far too tired keeping quiet about this. Perhaps that was Oishi-san's goal all along, but again, that didn't matter anymore. There were just a lot of torture devices that were used a long time ago. I looked around at them with everyone. Was that really all? That was really all. There was nothing terrible in there that would make you keep silent, like a pile of psychoactive drugs, maybe a secret poppy workshop. Perhaps there were mountains of Soviet or Chinese handguns. You know, there weren't any suspicious wooden boxes or containers packed in there. I was pretty sure I saw containers, but I was pretty sure when I looked in the storehouse, I didn't hear guns. There was nothing as exaggerated as what Oishi-san was hoping for, but I felt like in a way there were plenty of terrible things hidden in there. From the perspective of someone who viewed the storehouse as sacred, whether or not I thought I had seen some crazy things didn't matter in the slightest. The four of us broke the taboo. Punish us. That should have been what happened. We put in a request for a search warrant thinking that there might have been some secrets hidden in that storehouse. It's been the sabotage of the century. They said it would be an insult to religious figures and something about the right to free religion in the Constitution. Jeez. That's why I really didn't have any other recourse but to ask you since you went in there. There really was just old, rusty, dusty torture equipment. Nothing else stood out. Then Tomotaki-san and Takano-san were only killed as a punishment for having broken the taboo? I didn't have an answer for the only part. I suppose I won't bother hiding it anymore. You're the only one to escape harm so far. Everyone but you has disappeared, and yet you alone are safe. What's the difference between you and them that would protect you but bring harm to the others? That's what I want to know. There was something wrong with what Oishi-san was saying. You alone. You alone. No! Did Shion disappeared? What? Wait a second. What do you mean by you alone? I'm saying that you alone have been left alive, right? No, you've got to be kidding me. Shion has to be alive. There's no way she'll be dead. Come on, man. Out of the 4 people who tiptoed into the storehouse for ritual implements, the only one left alive? Hold on. Shion was still... Jiro Tomotaki-san and Miya Takano-san died that night, and Shion Sonozaki disappeared the next day. Only you are still safe and sound at this point. Why only you? I'm saying that's what I want to know. I'm saying that's what I want to know. Shion disappeared? That's impossible! I unintentionally raised my voice, but I didn't care about that. Tomotaki-san died. Takano-san died. And Shion disappeared? When did she disappear? What is this guy talking about? Oh, well now, I thought you were long since aware of this. This is the first I've heard of it. Shion disappeared? When? Well, going back a bit, she disappeared the day after Watanagashi. Going back a bit? Stop saying stuff I don't understand, damn it. Shion Sonozaki spends the night at relatives' houses, depending on her mood, on any given day, so no one thought much of not knowing where she was. What? No, she didn't even disappear. I was pretty sure I saw her by the day after the ritual warehouse. That is unreasonable. How is that even reasonable? She frequently takes days off from school too. Her teacher has been pretty troubled by it. I didn't ask about any of that. I'm asking you when Shion disappeared. I told you it was the day after Watanagashi. The fluids in my body all reversed direction. I lost my sense of balance and everything I could see started to warp and twist out of shape. I simply couldn't endure it. Hang on. Hang on. Shion had already disappeared? Then, that night, that call, that phone call, who was that? She called me every night. She encouraged me. We vowed that we would do our best to live on and not be erased. Yes, that should have been a phone call with Shion. Should have been a phone call with Shion. Should have been a phone call with Shion. She took breaks from class like it was nothing, and her family wouldn't listen when I told them, so I didn't bother calling the school in the end. So it ended up taking quite a while before we realized she disappeared. I felt a stabbing pain like needles were being pushed into every pore of my body. It started on my back and began spreading throughout the rest of me. When it had completely covered the surface of my skin, it began to worm its way inside my stomach as well. Don't you remember? We talked at the library the day after Watanagashi. Shion-san was there then. That was the last we saw of her. No one knows where she's been since. That can't be. That day, Oishi-san had only caught me, and Shion bounded away, lying that she needed to go to work. Didn't she call me that night? Her job was at a restaurant called Ancient Mart, right? She hasn't been there since that day. She's been completely absent ever since. The person at the restaurant couldn't get in touch with her. He was really worried. That can't be. It can't be. It's only circumstantial evidence, but after she left us at the library, but before she made it to work, I think it's appropriate to consider her having disappeared during that time. Right after Shion ran away without me. It seems that you didn't know. Maybe if you had said something earlier, this would have gone more quickly. Now you understand, right? You're the only one left. You're the only survivor of the four who slipped into the ritual storehouse. It couldn't be. It just couldn't be. If something else happens, it would happen to you. I need you to understand that, my Baro-san. It can't be. It can't be. It can't be. Shion had already disappeared? Oh my gosh. That couldn't be. It couldn't be. I talked to her the day before yesterday. I talked to her last night. She was going to call me again today. That was Shion on the phone. Shion on the phone. It was from Shion. Shion has long since disappeared. Next will be you. Then, who was on the phone those past nights? Who was on the phone those past nights? Who was on the phone those past nights? No, okay, this could be stupid thing. I don't know. What I'm trying to say, this could be a stupid reason, but maybe Mion is trying to disguise as Shion. I don't know. They're twins. I mean, I can tell the difference by personality, that is. It can't be. Come on. Why? I'm gonna save again, because I think I have just recorded it long enough. But I'll be continuing this more for now, so next part, let's see what happens at home. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys later. Have a good one.